Good morning, everyone. Again, we appreciate you all being here for this 11 o'clock update on what's going on in relation to the disaster that we have experienced here in Sevier County, and particularly in Gatlinburg, the county, and portions of Pigeon Forge. I want to begin by recognizing a few folks that are here with us today and expressing my appreciation to them being here. We have our Tennessee Adjutant General Haston, TEMA Director Patrick Shahan. We have our Commissioner of Health, John Dreisner, and we have a FEMA liaison, Paul Williamson, with us today, and we are appreciative of the folks from the state and FEMA for being here, and we're working very closely with those entities as we move forward to try to address the major issues that we have connected with their recent fires. I have a few updates for you, and we'll continue to recognize folks as we move forward. And then if you would, please hold any questions until the end, and we will give you an opportunity to ask questions of all of us that are up here. Our number of fatalities remains at 7 right now officially. We are making significant progress in our search and clearing. We know that the media is reporting the name of a victim, excuse me, but at this point we cannot verify that information. We are trying very diligently to verify that, as well as the names and notification of the next of kin of the other, of all 7 fatalities, and as I said, we continue our search process, and we're making significant progress in that. But I do want to say, as I've always said, that all of us that are working here extend our prayers and our thoughts to the families of those victims. It is certainly a distressing time for all of us, and we are absolutely distressed and concerned with those families. So we're going to continue focusing on that in our efforts here at the city and county as we move forward. The other thing I have to report to you is we have increased the number of individuals treated at the LeCompte Medical Center as a result of injuries from the fires. These were either folks that came to our shelters and had to get medical attention, or went to the LeCompte Medical Center themselves, or were transported there. We had a few that had to be transported yesterday afternoon. I don't think we had any transported overnight. That figure has went from 53 individuals to 74 that have been treated so far in various forms. We do not have specific information on those 74 individuals, but we do know that they have been treated, and many have been released. Some are still hospitalized. We do know that. I can say that yesterday we set up a TBI hotline for missing persons. Let me give you that number. It is 1-800-TBI-FIND, F-I-N-D. That is 1-800-824-3463. We urge anyone who has specific information about anyone that might be missing to call this with that information. We are working with the TBI to form a list, and we are working diligently to go through that list and make sure we try to locate those individuals. We know families are concerned. We are concerned. We know, and so we're going to do that, working with the TBI as expeditiously as we possibly can, and we're working very hard on that as well. And in regards to that, I want to say we continue to be amazed by the outpouring of support not only from the state of Tennessee, but absolutely across the nation. And we cannot express, those of us that are residents of the county, we have some 100,000 residents here in Sevier County and in the cities of Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville, how grateful we are for this outpouring of support that we're receiving across the nation. And we continue to be grateful for that and humbled by all of the support we're receiving. However, we are overwhelmed by the amount of in-kind donations that we're receiving. Therefore, we are asking people to hold their donations of food, water, and clothing until we finalize a central location where we can store all of this supplies that are pouring in from people all across this nation. So we're going to, hopefully by this afternoon, we're going to have that centralized location where we can ask people to start if they choose to do so, and many thousands are choosing to do so, bringing these supplies so that we can better handle this onslaught of supplies. We have 4 or 5 or more places right now that we have these supplies pouring into, and we need to better manage that, and we're going to try to do that by this afternoon and have a central location. We have 2 phone numbers for more information about future donations that I'd like to give you. We're going to post these as well, right, John? We'll be posting these on social media so that as well as we rely on you folks in the media to help us get this information out to the people. And again, I want to thank you all for that, because you are important in allowing not only our citizens but people across the state and the nation to know what's going on here in Sevier County. And that's important to us because we host 12 to 14 million visitors, and people love this area, and we know they're concerned, and we appreciate that, and you are helping us get that information out. So we are very grateful for that. And I have 2 numbers concerning the donations that I will give to you, and ask folks if they call in to be patient and understand that we are having an enormous volume of calls, and they may have to call back to get through. But those numbers are 1-866-586-4483, and the other number is 865-430-7384. Let me repeat those numbers because they're very important. 1-866-586-4483 or 865-430-7384. Those are very important numbers, and again, we appreciate what folks are doing all across the nation. I want to begin by recognizing the mayor of Gatlinburg, Mayor Werner, and he and City Manager Cindy Ogle are going to give you some more specific updates on what's happening in the city of Gatlinburg. Mayor Werner?
Thank you, Mayor Waters, and I'd like to repeat what Mayor Waters said and thank you all for the tremendous job you're doing, getting the information out to people that are wanting to know what's going on in Gatlinburg, wanting to know what's going on with their properties here. You know, there's displaced citizens, people that have second homes here that are just really concerned on what's going on. So you guys are doing a great job. In that light, there's going to be on the Facebook page, Chimney Tops 2 Fire, there will be a link to a GIS map. And this is going to be an ongoing process. It's not going to be done tomorrow. But any properties that have been damaged from the fire, they'll be identified. So you'll know the condition of your property. And these will be added as more search goes on. And this is going to be county and city both. So I think this is a big question a lot of people have. What's the condition of my house? What's the condition of my chalet or whatever? And this is going to relieve a lot of stress on their part. And another thing, and I'm always just, positive to the fact that we're such a strong community. We're such a family here. Gatlinburg is the people. That's what Gatlinburg is. It's not the buildings, it's not the stuff in the buildings, it's not, anything else, but it's the people. And we're the strongest community I've ever seen. And we're gonna be good, we're gonna be strong, we're gonna be back better than ever. And just be patient. I know things don't happen as fast as you want them to happen, but it's gonna happen. And it's all in a process and it's all in motion. So, love you all. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And we'll be okay.
Ms. Cindy Ogle, she's the city manager here in the city of Gatlinburg.
Thank you, mayors. And let us clarify, John, the Mayor Werner's reference to the GIS system. It will be in operation later today, beginning later today, and continuing the rest of the time frame.
As we get the information in, we're going to continue updating it. So if you first check it and you don't see your address on there, know that it may be on there 2 days later.
Right.
So when you first
That
check
it's going to be a gradual process, but as soon as the information is available, as soon as we know it, it will be put on the websites. Several updates here, beginning with the status of the search. We reported yesterday that 30% of the area had been searched. We're happy to report that number has greatly improved, and I'm going to give it to you by zones. Zone 1 is 80% complete. There are 4 zones. Zone 2 is 90% complete. Zones 3 and 4 are being searched as we are speaking to you now, and the goal is to have those zones done by nightfall. We are also facilitating Gatlinburg business owners to be able to take care of their payroll documents. That is happening also as we speak. It is our goal at the beginning of next week to allow property owners in a controlled process, to access their property by the same zones that I have just referenced. I do want to make it clear, I think we announced yesterday that the requirement to boil water had been lifted for the eastern part of town. And what I don't think I made clear is the fact that the eastern part of town is open to the public. And that would be from the post office out here on Highway 321 to the eastern city limits. And then I think this, of course, is the huge thing that people are wanting and needing to know. It is our goal, and we want to emphasize that it is a goal, to open up Parkway and River Road to the public on Monday.
Parkway and River Road?
Yes. And then once those 2 main arteries are open, we will begin the process of opening up the side streets as we can make those areas safe. And with that, I'm going to, I guess, Mayor Waters, turn it back over to you, and
Okay, thank you, Cindy.
we'll answer questions.
Yeah. I will give you a brief update on some of the things going on in the county as far as the damage that has been done in county areas. I'll begin by telling you, as Cindy just told you, they have divided the city into zones, and they're working on those zones. Well, we're in a cooperative basis on zone 1 and 2 because a portion of the county area is in those zones. So we're working, you heard the percentage she gave, so those are percentages that include the county areas in zones 1 and 2. That would be parts of North Chalet Village. I have been in contact with the sheriff this morning, and he has completed, or it's about 99% completed of the search in the Cobley Knob area, and they are now in the Norton Creek area in Cove Mountain, and also I think They're assessing damage in Beach Branch and Walker Trail as we speak. So we have teams from the Sheriff's Department working cooperatively with the TBI, as well as working with the city of Gatlinburg in these county areas who are doing a search and who are also assessing the damage. We still believe, as I stated yesterday, that we have over 400 structures in the county. That's our latest figures. Unfortunately, that continues to grow, but right now that's all we have confirmed that have been destroyed or damaged in the county area. And what we're hoping for is by this weekend, working with our highway superintendent, Mr. Smelser, working with the Sheriff's Department and working with the city, that we will have most of these county areas open so that folks can go in and assess their damage on their properties themselves. I'm telling you, that's our goal. We still have some areas that have very significant destruction, so we're working very diligently. We've got the electric system has teams out there working very diligently to open these areas up, along with our highway crews and our Sheriff's Department. So our goal is by this weekend, in those areas that I mentioned in the county, to have access to folks. But now, I want to emphasize there's 3 areas that there will not be access right now, or we don't look for access until later next week. And those areas would be Wiley, Oakley, and North Chalet Village, around the Westgate area, which is at the lower end of Gatlinburg, and Beach Branch and Walker Trail. Those areas will probably not be able to be accessed this weekend because of the significant damage and because of the issues we're having with down power lines and trees and other issues that we're having. So they will not be open. You have heard about the website that we're doing, which will include city and county property, so that we can at least give homeowners an opportunity as we go through the next few days to try to look at their property from this website. So we're working very hard on that system. The other thing I want to say is we have had a significant number of calls concerning animals. What we're doing as far as the animal control is concerned, we are working with the cities and Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, and the county is working together and we are putting a system together where we're going to have animal control officers who will be accompanied by other officers who will be able to check addresses for animals. But we're urging the citizens that have concern about their animals, if they left them in these areas, to go to the Sevier County Humane Society webpage and post that on the Sevier County Humane Society webpage with specific information and specific addresses. We can't have non-specific issues because we can't deal with those, but we have to have specific addresses and information if we're going to do it. So these folks that are concerned about animals, and we've had a number of calls that they left, need to do that, and that is in the county and cities as well. So I will now recognize Superintendent Cash to update us on the park.
Good morning. Yesterday, as you know, we received a significant amount of rainfall, but it is not enough to make up the deficit for what we have not received in the last several months. Now, I want to underscore, do not let the rain from yesterday give us a false sense of security. It has taken us time to get to this point. It's going to take us time to get out of it. I want to give you an updated acreage on the actual fire. The updated acreage is now 17,108 acres. That is broken into that 10,847 acres occurred within the park, and 6,261 of those acres were outside. Also want to underscore the importance of, we've talked about the social media site and that updated information that's occurring within the county and the city. I also want to stress that our progress on the fire within the park is also going to be updated on that site. So it's a one-stop shop on informing you of the progress that's happening on all three fronts. I also mentioned yesterday that we had a Type 1 crew here that was composed of at least 70 members that are accompanied with hundreds of assets to help us with the county and city if needed, and also to further contain the fire that we have within the park. To date, we have 285 members, assets that accompany that Type 1 team. They're broken down into 9 different hand crews. We have 20 engines. We have 7 helicopters, and we have 4 dozers, which comprises that 285. The crews in the park will be out again working today on containment. More aircraft is en route to help us, and this is an evolving operation, as you understand, and day by day we will continue to make progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Cash, and I want to, as I do every time, express our thanks to the National Park and the Park Service for the cooperation that we're receiving from them and for their efforts. They're standing shoulder to shoulder with all of us here in the cities and the county. I have a couple of other announcements that I want to make to you. One of them concerns the state. We had met the Commissioner of Insurance, Commerce and Insurance for the state of Tennessee was in, I can't remember if it's yesterday or day before, but it was one of them. And we have been working with them to set up a place that our citizens, and this is all of our citizens, city or county, can go and file for unemployment insurance. And those teams are there now, and I'm going to give you a location in just a minute. And we also have insurance representatives from the major insurance companies, as well as insurance adjusters at this place, that citizens can go and begin talking with them about the losses they've had. And this is at Boyd's Bear, which is in the upper end of the city of Pigeon Forge. If you're going out down the spur, it's on the right-hand side, right as you're going out. But they are there, teams are there as we speak to service our citizens who need to file unemployment claims because they have lost their jobs because of this disaster, or they have lost homes or businesses. The insurance company will be there. So we certainly appreciate the work of these two organizations to expedite this for our citizens, because that's very important, because a lot of folks are going to be hurting in the next few weeks till we get back up and running in this area. I also want to say to you that the Senate is in session today, so Senator Alexander and Senator Corker will not be here today, but they will be here for our 11 o'clock press conference in the morning. Both of them have indicated they wanted to talk to the media, and they're also going to get a tour of the area tomorrow morning, and we're working with them closely, and as well as Congressman Rowe, on the federal involvement in this disaster relief. I have some folks that I am pleased, we don't often get, when I'm standing up here or when Mayor Werner or Ms. Ogle's standing up here, we don't often get to give you some good news, but we've got somebody here that's going to give us something, talk to us just a moment about something that is good news for the citizens of our area. And so I want to recognize David Dotson and Pete Owens from the Dolly Parton Foundation, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about an unbelievable new fund that Dolly is establishing for those in Sevier County that have lost their homes. David?
Thank you, Larry, and good morning. Like everybody, Dolly was heartbroken, but you move from heartbreak to action, and yesterday it was never a question if should something be done, but what should be done. And yesterday we landed on the what, and that was the creation of the My People Fund. And what this fund will do is provide $1,000 a month for 6 months to every resident who's lost their home in Sevier County. I believe that we've established now a website, at dollyfoundation.org, where people from around the world can donate. We've asked the world to respond to this website, and I can tell you that the world is responding in a big way. And along with the support from all of our local businesses and our global community, I believe we will successfully raise the amount of money that's going to be required to make this dream come true. It is a very big dream at this scale, but I think you all know Dolly is chief of big dreams, and I know that we have the wherewithal to make this happen. All the details about how this is going to happen and how much money it will take and what we're going to do will be available tomorrow on that same website, and of course we'll use our friends in the media to get that message out. We needed 24 hours to take the dream into an action plan, so I think over just the next few hours we'll finalize those details and have those available to the public. You know, it's an honor for her and an honor for the foundation to really be in this position, so thank you very much.
Thank you, David. That's an unbelievable gesture on Dolly's part. It's not surprising, though. Dolly Parton has been an advocate for Sevier County her entire life. I've known her my entire life, and she's always been an advocate, and certainly when in times like these, she loves this area and loves its people, and this is an expression of that love, and I want to personally thank Dolly for what she's doing here. This is such an important thing. We've been struggling with this very issue, David, as a staff-wise on how we're going to handle this, and this is big for us, and big for even larger for the folks that are going to be suffering in the next few months from this tragedy. So it's a great thing that she's done, and we appreciate and love her for what she has done. And so we're getting ready to open it up for questions, and I'm going to conclude, as I conclude with every time that I talk about two things, about the people of this area, the heritage, and how important that is and how strong they are. And that heritage includes, you know, our ancestors came into the mountains years ago, and it was tough here. It was tough to survive. It wasn't an easy place. But they had the fortitude, they had the character, and an important thing they had was faith, and that faith in God. And they have passed that on from generation to generation, and our people have that. So we're going to survive, and we're going to be better than ever when this is over. So I just want you to know that and understand that we've got a lot of strong folks here, and we're all working hard together as a team. City, county officials, all of the. I can't say enough about the emergency responders we've had. I mean, it's incredible. I get choked up every time I think about what's went on in that realm. And so we're very thankful for that, and we're, as you can see, we're making progress, and we're going to be back soon. And I want the whole world to know that, because all of our 14 million visitors love this place, and millions all across not just the nation but the world love Sevier County, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville. So I'll open it up to questions now. Yes, sir.
With respect to the families who are anxiously waiting for news and understanding that some people have passed away, do I understand that some bodies have been recovered but you haven't yet identified them because of the fire? And how many are you in the process of identifying?
Okay, I may recognize Chief Miller, or I don't know who. Does somebody want to address that? Chief Brackens?
We're going to refer all those incidents and all those questions to the TBI. They're going to be overseeing that process along with investigators from different agencies, the City of Gatlinburg and county agencies and other state agencies, and we're going to refer that to one focal point, which is the TBI.
Are they here?
They are here. I know they have a.
And do we have a count on the missing?
We do not. I can tell you at this time that any remains recovered will be sent to the medical examiner's office for identification purposes. So we have not positively identified anybody at this point. We're working closely with local agencies. As far as the number of missing that remains to be seen, Since our hotline was established yesterday morning, we've received nearly 100 phone calls. As of this morning, agents were following up on approximately 70 leads. That doesn't mean that there are 70 people missing necessarily, but we do have to follow up on all those leads.
And so, and again, I have a lot of respect for the people who are anxiously waiting here, including Mr. Reed, who's waiting for word of his wife and 2 children. Is he waiting to find out whether the bodies you've recovered are his family?
I cannot speak to that because we have not spoken with Mr. Reed. That would be, I think he's been in touch with local authorities.
Ma'am, there's a question. Is there an update to share about the whereabouts, the condition, the status of John and Janet Summers from Memphis?
I do not have an update at this time. Again, we have been requested to assist local agencies with identifying missing persons and then searching for those potentially involved in the fires. So I don't have any updates on any of the victims.
Chief, can you answer this question? Is there an update that anyone can provide? City of Memphis, that community, please, sir, come to the microphone. Very concerned about this couple. There's a Facebook page. The city is outpouring with concern, anxiety. Can you give us an update about the status of John and Janet Summers of Memphis?
No, sir, I'm sorry, I cannot do that at this time. I don't have the information.
You think they're still alive?
I don't know.
You think they've passed?
I don't know.
Is that frustrating? Somebody explain this.
Not only to you, but it's frustrating to me.
That's my question. What is it like for you, because you have the families reaching out to you wanting answers?
It's one of the most difficult things you can imagine. For instance, if my family was there and I wanted to know, I'd want an answer. Other than that, I can only say that I understand their frustration, not only with them, but it's also with me. But we have to go through the process and finish so we can know.
And let me say, we have to identify those folks. We don't want to misidentify. It would be even more. It would be an even larger tragedy to tell these people something when we're not sure. So we've got to make sure, and the only way we can do that is with the identification team that we have, and we're waiting on them to identify these folks, these 7 fatalities we have. And as soon as we get that identification, we're going to notify the families. But man, we've got to make sure we get this right, because that is, we wouldn't want to not get that. That would be even worse than what's going on right now. And we know families are frustrated as well as we are. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, and again, all due respect to the seriousness of the situation, but can we have any more clarity? Is it just 7, or are there more bodies than 7 that may not have been identified?
We're still in the search phase. Unfortunately, there may be more out there. And as we get that confirmed, we will report those to you.
But only 7 have been found.
Only 7 so far. But as soon as we'll have another press conference at 4 o'clock, and this afternoon we should have a larger percentage of these areas that we're searching, and so we'll have more information on that hopefully at 4 o'clock.
Mayor, I have a question for you and
yes.
for Ms. Hogle too. There's a lot of people who are currently unemployed. They're at the shelters right now. You talked about a central location for the food, water, and clothing. May there be, in the next few days, a location where some of these folks can reside, at least temporarily, instead of in the shelters? Do you know of that opportunity being available to those who are without homes and who have no family or loved ones in this area who can take them in?
Yeah. We're working with the Red Cross right now as far as the shelter to extend the time. We're going to extend the time on the shelter as long as we need to. On a more permanent solution, that is a very, very difficult issue, but we have teams that we're working on that right now, how we're going to handle the longer-term issue of these folks that are in the shelter, and hopefully we're going to come up with a solution on that. But that's a little bit, not a little bit, that's a lot more difficult issue to address in the future. You want to say something about that from the Red Cross?
We are currently at 240 residents last night in the shelters, between the two shelters we have open. And again, we will have shelters open as long as they are needed. But of course, we do want people to be able to go home. We do want people to be in comfort. This is a very challenging situation. It is a marathon and not a sprint. I know you've heard me say that again. And we will continue to meet the needs as best we can.
I have a question for the fire chief. Can someone talk about the fact that throughout much of
Chief Miller.
the Mid-South and even the country, we saw the rains, they were torrential rains, but we went out today and we saw hot spots. Give us an idea of the condition on the ground after what we witnessed were rains for hours.
Yes, it's a very good question. And we've alluded to this in some of the previous press releases, and we cautioned, Superintendent cautioned this a little bit earlier. We don't want any of our recent precipitation to give that false sense of security, because fire is a tremendous beast. And once it stops raining and those embers inside are still smoldering, and it dries out whatever moisture was there, that's how you get a rekindle from a hot spot. I just gave you an example for a structure, but that same philosophy also works in the forest. So whatever that leaf clutter, that duff layer that's laying there, the rain that we had was not enough to penetrate to the bottom. And our yards, our land up here is so dry from this extreme drought, it's cracked. So that below still, if there are any smoldering areas or hot spots, can drive the clutter above it and can rekindle. In fact, there's weather reports out today that the humidity is going to be at a level. The wind speed, we've already had enough of a break of the precipitation that we are at a heightened risk again today for the potential for brush fires.
Do you have the 400 firefighters on the scene or have some left?
We go in operational periods of 12 hours. So we are at about 200 firefighters on the ground right now. About 20% of those firefighters are doing active firefighting as we speak. Hot spots, rekindles, small brush fires. The remaining percentage are concentrated on doing searches in these zones.
Chief Miller, we have gotten a lot of questions from our viewers about the cause of this fire. We say human cause. Does this mean intentionally set? Is this what we're calling arson?
That's a national park question.
That's Superintendent Cash. Address that.
Yeah, it is human cause, you're correct, but we have investigators and special agents as we speak that are looking at that. And I just want to reiterate that the forest fire was one piece, but there were ignitions started within the city with trees hidden down, power lines was also another point source. So we cannot lose focus of that. So.
Yesterday you said that there were 30%. Yesterday you said that about 30% of the affected area had been searched. Overall, where is it today?
What would we say?
They talked about the zones.
Yeah,
60 to
but
70.
apart from zones, just in general.
People don't know the zones. Which area are you talking about, Chief?
Okay, let me explain and help provide some clarity. It just made it easier to get in to coordinate. So law enforcement, fire, rescue crews, we separated the entire area into zones. Zone 1 and Zone 2 are adjacent to each other. That will be the Ski Mountain area and the Chalet Village North area. Zone 3 being the downtown corridor, primarily business district area. And Zone 4 would be the eastern corridor out towards where we stand. So based on that, 80% of Zone 1 is searched. 90% of Zone 2 has been searched. We have approximately 100 personnel team in Zone 3 as we speak. They've been searching throughout the night and this morning, so we have to get our updates from those team leaders to see where we're at for Zone 3. The same thing for Zone 4. We have a cross-effort team that is half National Guard, half firefighters that are searching Zone 4, waiting for those updates. Now, I also do not want to let these numbers mislead you. In a lot of these areas, 100% of the properties have been visualized. But I want you to understand the brevity of the situation. Some of these structures, there's nothing left. I'm talking a 4 or 5 story cabin, and there's nothing left. So to search it much further would take a longer, more forensic-based process for going through that. But that's where we stand.
But overall, would you say 50% of the affected area has been
I can't
searched?
give you a specific 80 Zone 1,
Ballpark.
90 Zone 2. I don't do ballpark. We're doing Zone 3 right now. Zone 4 right now. I'll be able to get some concrete numbers because I've not had a chance to meet with those team leaders that are out there right now.
Fire Chief,
Yes.
when you talk about the structures, like a 4 or 5-story building being brought down, does that mean that the heat of the fire may, if somebody was in there, may have just left bones?
That is very much a potential.
So to go through these areas to find out if there were people in there would take what? If there are people who died in there and there's no bodies but only left bones, how do you go through that? Because you have such a vast area.
It would be a long process.
We're still in search and rescue now. When do you estimate this switching gears and potentially turning into a search and recovery?
We're going to have to rely on the information we get from the TBI find. We're never going to give up hope. I will always hang on to hope that there is a chance of rescue. But now we are at hour 65 from the beginning of the fires. We have to come to a realization that the potential is great, that it could be more of a recovery than a rescue. But we'll always hold out hope.